Hi everybody, welcome to my full commentary on my latest album, Exxpression, out now on all platforms. I have my notes over here, and I'm just going to be talking over all the songs, some of the rationale and whatever. So, Exxpression is the second project that I've made, and definitely my longest. The only other project I made was 5 songs. This is double that length and almost double the runtime as well. With 10 songs, I really found that I was reflecting a lot more deeply on this project than my project XIX last year or Scanner, the single that I did. And so I think I really just wanted to share that. Music for me is kind of an art form that is great. I don't really, compared to video, for example, which is something I do much more often, this one really doesn't have music doesn't have many boundaries for me, and not only that, I consume a lot of it, at least high quality sources. I consume a lot of videos, but a lot of shorts and like a lot of stuff that isn't very helpful. And so having high quality inspiration and as well as not feeling the pressure to create, in my opinion, has helped me a lot more with enjoying the process and allowing me to sort of create art pieces with real backed inspiration behind it. And so I really just want to share that to the 10 people who are very curious about the whole process and the thought process behind every single one of these songs. This project took about 2.5 months, which is much shorter than my first project. My first project basically took the whole summer, which is 4 months, but this one was much shorter. If you remember, I did post a reel that said I'd do it in 30 days, but obviously that's not possible. At the same time, I wasn't exactly anticipating to make 10 songs, so I think there was a give and take there. And that was kind of a stupid claim to make, but I just wanted to yap about all the creative decisions. And if you heard something interesting that I don't bring up, it probably means that it wasn't that deep, or I just like something. So yeah, this is Exxpression. We'll get a full dive into all the lyrics like genius, and while the title is named Exxpression, very unfiltered stories and commentaries, and I'll probably name drop a bunch of people that otherwise I wouldn't feel comfortable to, but because this is probably going to be a long video, I don't really care. So I've sectioned the video into different songs if you specifically want to learn more about your favorite song. But without further ado, I'm just going to start with the first track, which is Test of Strength. So this is the first song on the album. It is a piano intro, and it's also one of my first improvisation sort of based pieces. I have 3/4 improv songs. I would say Test of Courage isn't that improv, but there's improv elements, but these other songs are fully improvised, and I just took the best parts I liked from doing a long session of just playing. These test of songs, I treat them as like a narrator to our characters. Spoiler alert, there's going to be 3 characters in this album, and each one represents sort of a different section or a different sort of side of me. And I think the narrator is the consistent sort of way to continuously tie the album throughout the characters as they change. And so this test of the way that I've layered these tracks is almost a storytelling element to say, yes, we're going to go in all these different directions, but at the end of the day, we're going to come back to the beginning. The first section is the rock section, and this is called Ikigan, or the character is Ikigan, and that person is basically an homage to my past self. Specifically, the work that I did with XIX and the work I did with Scanner. This is the rock section. The first part is the epitome of that. It's me recreating what I already know, and it's my comfort zone, basically. And so when I was thinking of how do I want to start this album, how do I want to introduce this rock section, I thought, why not use a Japanese reference, a reference to something Japanese, because again, by XIX stuff, looking at Scanner, I don't like to use culture as like an aesthetic per se, but I did, you know, after XIX, I came back from Japan. I really appreciated that, and I used a lot of the sound bites from that. Same with Scanner. I really was really into the Japanese like rock scene, and I was like, I really want to make a song like that. And so it was just a natural sort of development for me. And so with this, I was like, okay, I need to find something that is, I need to find a Japanese, or I was just thinking of like, let's go back to that mindset. What is something that could kick this off? And ultimately, I went with a quote from Your Name. It is the scene where the guy and the girl, I forgot their name, but they're on the mountain and they're like, let's not forget our names. Let's like write each other's names on our hands. And spoiler alert, the guy writes I love you instead of a name. But the quote here is, so we don't forget when we wake up, let's write our names. That's what they say. That's what the guy says in the scene. And you can find it somewhere on YouTube. But I think to be that quote was very significant because it's about like the pain and the beauty of trying to stay whole, or trying to stay whole when you don't feel whole, you know? Like if you take those words figuratively of like, we don't forget when we wake up, like let's write our names down. It's kind of like the soft child, like it's kind of like tragic, but it's like beautiful in some way of just like trying to remember something that is so like figurative with something that is like in the real world. That kind of makes no sense, but that's sort of what these tracks are. These test of tracks, sort of nailing down like these are the names or the signatures of these characters, right? The beginning sections before each character takes their stage and starts doing their own songs. This is kind of like the introduction. This is the writing names of each character. And like I think it's as I said, like a tether to a different identity. And yeah, it reflects kind of the nature of the different personalities. To me, like just I didn't really think too hard about it. It's just when I saw this in Your Name, I was thinking of Your Name when I was like writing this, because to me it was like, obviously it wasn't about like multiple personalities, but there is some level of like connection with something that is outside your sort of scope or outside your reality, but stretching into another one. And I really wanted to reflect that a little bit in this song, which is why I threw the quote at the beginning. I think it was a cool reference. I love Your Name, and it's introducing my rock side. Yeah. Other thing, before we move on to the next song, there is the improv. And the way that I did this is actually, I would say improv, it's hard, but if you're in a certain key that you already know, it becomes very natural. So for example, the key that this song is in B major, and I think it is the easiest key to improv in my opinion. This is a little life hack. So the chords are B major, C sharp minor, C sharp major, D sharp minor. I don't know if these are the right chords, but this is just what I know. And then the last one is F sharp major. And I use this so much because one, it's based off a piano song I really know. It's called Fireworks, or I don't know what the song. I think the song's called Fireworks. It's an anime song, and it goes like. Yeah, if you know that song, that's kind of the vibes. But yeah, basically that chord progression is very easy to improvise on, because it is like almost all black keys. Like if you just play different black keys and different chords with the B, C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, then you're gonna get like, in my opinion, like very strong melodies very easily. It's actually the same key. I learned this today, but it's the same key of not only the beginning song, but also Scanner. The intro of Scanner is the exact same key, and I didn't even notice. But that's how easy it is. I will demonstrate allow me to demonstrate. Like, I think another thing that is defining, or at least the only, I think, other important thing of this song is that we are using my guitar tone that I sort of created. It sounds... This is a piano going through this, but it is an effect chain. It is an effect chain that is doing things like guitar amplifiers, a bunch of compressor, like guitar amplifiers, chorus, reverb, stuff like that. And I really love this. I personally loved using this, and I think it was like the defining thing. I made it for Unshoulder, and I was like, I'm gonna use this in all the rock songs as like a defining motif. And so, yeah, that is introduced in this first song. Last thing I want to say, just a note, which is the last words of this song, which is welcome to XX. This welcome to XX, it means 20, and 20 is my current age. XX is Roman numerals. XIX is also Roman numerals to when I was 19, which was a year ago and the first time I made this project. And so this is the second time in a row. This is like a tradition now, I guess. This is the second time that I'm doing this, and which is why the title is Exxpression with 2 X's, because XX is the actual title, kind of. But XX is my age, and I want to sneak that in there just to pay homage to XIX and all of that. Never Saved in My Phone is the first official song of the album, and I think, although it is the first song, it was probably the shortest one to make, even though it was also my first single, I guess. I only released it on YouTube, but it was the shortest amount of time to make. That being said, I absolutely loved it. I love it. I think it kicks off the album great, and it really has this nice, homey, nostalgic, authentic kind of tone that I really like. Anyways, Never Saved in My Phone is about transactional or superficial relationships. A lot of people, I think, as this album is talking about myself at age 20, XX, and sort of the thoughts and feelings and the things that I'm feeling at the time. I think transactional superficial relationships are something that I've seen a lot more, or at least experienced a lot more. I think when you're in elementary school, when you're in high school, I feel like you hang around the same people and you almost get a decent close bond with everybody. But in university, in like where I'm at now, and especially going into like academic leave, it's harder and harder to sort of, it's easier and easier to spot like transactional or superficial relationships. And yeah, it's just been something that has been grappling my mind a lot on, people that I meet, people that I want to learn more about, but I don't end up doing so. So the intro of the song is a phone line, and this is literally from me calling the phone on my desk. It's over there, you have to trust me. But literally it says like, call from Nano, and Nano is a name that my family, friends, and like my family, they call me. I'm releasing this to the public now, but Nano is sort of like a private name, but it is on my phone, and I think that sort of shows that like that connection. I think another thing that's interesting in this opening is Kevin. This is, the beginning line says something like, what was it? Something, where am I? it's not a reference to Justin's rap career, but I mean, it can be. Mainly, it's a reference to a short film that I made in grade 10 called Stranger at the Door, which I thought was super funny. I think it's kind of troll, but it's kind of funny. And I originally just put it in for fun because I know in my old songs and some of my older songs, I always put like a reference to like an old piece of something that I made. But yeah, this one, so I originally put it in for fun, but I think the film that I made, which is about Ray and Kevin, their roommates, and all of a sudden Ray doesn't remember him, and Kevin has to go around the house and try to like find evidence that he lives here, and at the end he realizes that he was never there. Somehow he looks at a picture of himself and he's like, where am I? That is the quote that I put in this song. And the reason why I did that, at least the reason why I think I did that, is because it sort of mirrors how I want how the song kind of is. It's like you think you are very good friends with someone, you think you are like great friends with someone, or that you are like I think a lot of people think they're good friends with other people, me included, and then you end up like when you realize the truth in that like you were never part of the picture, or like your relationship was actually very superficial, and the only time someone would call you or someone would check in on you is because they need something from you. And so I think this Kevin reference is kind of silly, but at the same time I do sort of see that there is some interpretation that can come from it. There's some meaning that is valuable from it. So that is, I think, the song structure. I think this song has some cool things, like it has a guitar solo, which is really cool. And I think it also uses the sample at the end. We'll talk about that in a sec. I'm gonna go into the lyrics. First one is, I'll just read it out loud. It's on the YouTube description if you didn't know. But it goes, one flash, it's gone. The photo booth is where it ends. We borrowed laughter in our dorms, but inside jokes just never lasted. One flash, it's gone. The photo booth is where it ends. The reason why I wrote this lyric, or I'm trying to capture the feeling of, you know, when you go to a bunch of conferences or you go to a bunch of events or like a gala or something, and then you get that like that person with the photo booth taking those pictures, and you get like the little like the printed out pictures of you and your friends. I feel like there's always that one picture that is huge. Like there's like 20 people in this photo, and most of them you don't care about. Is that evil to say? I always have these like photo booth pictures of like people who I don't really know, but it was just kind of like, come for the photo. And you get 20 printouts of like this thing, this like sheet that you're like, damn, like most of these people I don't know. I think that was what I was trying to get at with this like photo booth imagery, that like with these you kind of like take photos with people you don't know. I don't know. We borrowed laughter in our dorms, but inside jokes just never lasted. This is a reference to, or not a reference, but this kind of reflects how I felt at first year dorms. First year, like learning more about people, meeting like tons and tons of new people, kind of meet different people in their dorms. You have little inside jokes in the first week, and then kind of just fades away, or you find less of a reason to meet them, or and so that's what it's saying there. It was never just about coffee. Damn, you told me so. It's about coffee chats. Pretty I think that's the epitome of transactional for me. But yeah, I digress. I always knew the 49 moves on and our paths branching. 49th refers to the 49 bus, and this is just one thing that I like to think about. I often or once in a while, I get to see someone on like the 49 bus and I just kind of talk with them for a while. All of a sudden, like, oh, they have to leave, they have to go to. I don't want to like dox myself, but yeah, there's always a stop where a lot of people get off to go to the train as opposed to the bus. They get off the bus to go on the train. And I think that moment, I was like, I really want this lyric to say like that feeling of like, you are with somebody until they get busy, or you're with someone until other things come up. Sometimes it's just like life throws it at you and you just have to move on, right? And that's what I think is a lot of these like interactions or a lot of these relationships that I get in is like, there's no hard feelings, like people just move on and some people are more busy. And I think I am a very big victim of this because I also don't like reach out to people. I'm hard to get in contact with. So I think that's to me as well, right? Like I get busy. I get too busy for myself and I slowly like lose I slowly lose a lot of relationships that way, which kind of scares me, but it's also like, you know, my own fault. The chorus goes, still early to let you go, your blank profile remains, and I can't recall many names that I never saved on my phone. That just is like the chorus, and I think it encapsulates that fact of like different relationships, letting people go, and just like relationships that never really went anywhere that you were excited about. The blank profile, it's all referencing the fact or pointing to those relationships that never were able to get into my phone, be part of my contact list that I frequently, you know, look at. So, yeah. I did get some questions about Maryland. I write here, I wish that I could run right back through those small streets in Maryland. You notice how we left it off, never saved in my phone. Maryland, I've never been to Maryland. It's a small coastal state, I know that, but I think okay, this is kind of embarrassing, but I listened to that song End of Beginning by Joe, and he goes like, and when I'm back from Chicago, I feel it, or whatever. And I was like, yo, what is my Chicago, right? Like, because when I was listening to that song, like, I don't have any feelings towards Chicago, but for some reason when you name drop a state, you name drop a place, like, that kind of vibe, it gives me that kind of nostalgic, almost like when I visualize it, I think of like small hometown or something like that, as opposed to what Chicago actually is, I guess. But and so for this, I was like, I want something similar where it's like I'm trying to say that I think I'm part of a big city, and often that means like feeling like you have to go fast. You have to sort of meet a lot of people. You end up meeting a lot of people just by accident, but you also sort of like have to go through a lot of these different transactions. And something about like that, running right back to like your youth, to like small town, even if it's not physically like small town, but like, you know, mentally where you're at, your headspace is very, I guess, constrained to what you know. And that's sort of what I want to get at. You notice how we left it off, never saved in my phone. Second verse, similar vibes. We talked about oversharing in fact, friends over ash, but dust scatters over time. And this is, I think, just something I like to do. Whenever I talk to people, I love setting the transparency or the authenticity bar high, like always talking about myself personally. I always like to get into big, deep conversations. I find that the most fulfilling. And because of that, like, I end up oversharing, or I end up like talking to people and really trying to connect with someone as if they were like a very close friend of mine. But yeah, as I mentioned with like friends over ash, this is almost like a, you know, in corporate smoke breaks, like that's how you like talk. I think that imagery of like dust scattering over time is just how I feel. Just how I feel. I don't know. But yeah, the rest is just the chorus, pre-chorus and chorus, the guitar solo, as I mentioned, and throughout that there is the sample from the film. Again, he goes, "It's almost as if I disappeared," from Kevin. And I think that is the climactic point in the short film where Kevin realizes, hey, I'm not in this picture anymore. And it's similar vibes. It's like, I think for me, especially when I'm like going into my academic leave, when I'm doing all this stuff, I think even the summer as I'm writing this, right? Like, it's almost as if like I disappeared, kind of vibes. Yeah. The next track is called Unshoulder. And if you heard the song, I think you could tell that I really want to go for an all-in rock aesthetic, heavily based on the song Mayonnaise by the Smashing Pumpkins. That song is like, it starts off with a nice little guitar melody and then the ba-ba, like the heavy rock shoegaze kind of vibe, and that's kind of what I want to go for. And it's also the first song that I made on the album. I originally just wanted to make it a single, but yeah, I think like after I was doing it, I was like, wait, I actually want to make more music, and so that's when I released that thing where I was like, I'm gonna make an album in 30 days. The reason why I want to make it just a single is because I think I was like scared to, like if I did put it on an album, I was scared it would like deter people from listening to the rest, because I don't know, like it was very different from what I'm used to, and so it came with like it's very abrasive, and I think like if I'm thinking of like my mom or someone, like I think they would turn off after they hear that. Like they probably didn't vibe with the first song, and so now this song they're probably like a little like jarred. And so for me, I was like, yeah, I was scared it would stray people away from the rest of the album, because you know it's very messy, it's very loud, but some people have told me they like it, so I'm glad. Yeah, but this is also where I first just found out the guitar tone, which I shared, and yeah, I absolutely love it. I think that was the greatest discovery for the rock section ever. Keep in mind, Spotify limits noise, so I had to compress the song, which was kind of annoying, but you have to trust me, on the uncompressed version, with like very quiet and then like with the bass and everything, it's like amazing. But I do think this song works best when you're listening in a car. That's what I found, so try that out. But yeah, I love that gigantic wall of sound. I think let's just let's dive in. The lyrics are quite simple on this one. The lyrics go, "I can't shoulder the weight that's gone away. It gets harder, knowing change won't start today. Inside your mind, every day gets by you." I wrote the song like very beginning of summer, and I think I was at a point where I was like, I'm not sure what I want to do. Like there is an invisible weight there, because yeah, I think this was coming right after like, you know, people like were searching for summer internships, things like that, and I think I was very torn between like, oh, should I do more videos, should I do that, or should I, you know, like blah blah blah, get experience, blah 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 blah. And I think at that point I was just kind of bummed out, because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm literally getting rejected everywhere. And so it was just kind of like, I don't want to waste the days passing by, but at the same time I was like putting myself down without like anybody giving me pressure, you know. I don't think anybody was like looking down on me for it necessarily, or anything like that. I think it was purely just like I don't want to be unproductive. I'm scared that like I don't really know what I'm doing. And yeah, I think this song, it boils down to me throwing a bunch of insecurities at a wall of sound and just kind of leaving it like that. Yeah, but this "I can't shoulder the weight that's gone away," it's like, yeah, it's like the internal struggle of me, I think, after that, like, you know, being like, okay, well, I didn't get what I got. I didn't get what I want per se. And just like, where do I go from here? Like, where's the track? How do I change myself? How do I get better? That was kind of vibes. I basically just repeat that, and the chorus goes, I lost the track, but the race keeps changing. I lose patience. I feel the weight when algorithms never show my name. Should I have never looked? I lost the track and the race keeps changing. I think that just means like, I think that's just, I think that's clear. Like I'm losing like track of what I want. I think the race is like changing, as in like there's so many different things to think about, and people are succeeding in their own way, and I'm just trying to find like what the race is for me, and that keeps changing for me, what I want. The next part I think is very valuable. Like, I feel the weight when algorithms never show my name. Should I've never looked? And to me, this lyric represents like, oh my god, when I was like saying I was gonna take a gap year on LinkedIn, this is like the biggest fear I have from that, which is that when I was saying like all these big things, and then I started doing things like Instagram videos and things like that, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do more of these personal things. I think the biggest insecurity I have is that people will judge my level of productivity by like how many Instagram posts I make, because I am technically doing it in public, right? Like I am posting, like I am posting and people can see, and I think people might make the connection that like, oh, if I'm not posting every single day, then I'm literally like rotting on my bed. When I think that's not the case, and that hasn't been the case for the last while. I've been doing stuff, but yeah, it's just like I don't want to feel like I'm proving to people that, hey, no, I'm not wasting my time, and I don't want to get these like constant questions of like, are you doing enough? I think that's a question I would ask myself, right? Like, am I doing enough to justify this? And I think it's just kind of scary that like, otherwise I could just kind of like, there's no pressure, right? But I do kind of put it on myself that like, I do put pressure, and people, I don't know if anybody actually cares about me. I don't think people do, but there is that kind of nagging in the back of my head that like people will check on my Instagram page. I haven't posted in a week, and it's like, oh, this guy's doing jack shit. So it's just something that I've been thinking about, and that's what this song is about. It's about like insecurity of like not knowing what to do, not feeling productive, not really having a clear end goal anymore of recently, and just trying to do what's best in the moment. And so that's where I end off this section, the rock section, and move on to the next song. The next song is Test of Character. It's another piano improv. It's the narrator coming back in and signing in the new character, which is our electronic person, the Collective. The chords are F major, the key is in F major, the chords are F, C, D minor, B flat, very standard. First thing is I'm calling out my mom pretty obviously. I'm doing the Eminem strat, if you will, just being like, hey, I'm scared of sending this song, because I know you probably will not like it. XIX, you did not like that album. And I was like, okay, I think like this, if I am being the epitome of like that self, you aren't supposed to like this section either. And so I was like, yeah, my mom probably doesn't like this one. That's facts. Yeah. But this song is the turning point in terms of atmosphere, trying to make a strong contrast to the previous song where it's like very low, lots of mids, lots of guitars, lots of bass, and this one almost like soaring highs, literally with like bird sound, but also with like violins and choir and like building up and up and up. Yeah, this uplifting kind of atmosphere, which to me transfers over. Yeah, and then the last part is Welcome to the Collective. As I said, with naming and sort of tagging or signatures, this is the signature for the next character, who is, the Collective, and we'll get into them. So the next song is called Static Lullaby. It's one of my favorite songs to make. It was a totally different realm from any of the other songs that I've made before. Most of the songs I make with a guitar, I have an audio adapter like this, and I'm just throwing like guitar, I'm throwing like bass or whatever like into here. But I was like, no, I have to make something where like I have to program these drums, I have to do all this stuff, and yeah, I want to make it like fully piano based, where everything is in MIDI and I'm doing everything myself. And so I think it was very fun to make. One of my favorite artists of all time is Porter Robinson, and this song is like a Porter Robinson song, or at least my interpretation of it. And yeah, I think I'm sad a bit that it's so compressed. There's a lot of different lines and piano riffs I tried to like throw in there that gave me that kind of vibe that kind of feels like it got pushed under, or it's like harder to hear. But I am very happy with how it turned out. I think the drop is like quite nice. And yeah, as I said, Porter Robinson was a big inspiration. Their song Sea of Voices is this song, like in very similar ways. Other ways that it's Porter Robinson influenced is the voice, the high pitched voice. I use Caro V, which is an audio plugin, to do that on my voice. I had a boom and clap rhythm like the boo, boo. You don't hear that in typical EDM songs, but in these kind of like gigantic, large songs, this worked very well. And also in the last part, I have a cheerleader synth line. The song Cheerleader by Porter Robinson, I really love that synth. And so I just decided to use it a bunch. And he had a stream, Porter Robinson had a stream going through his music process, and so I took a lot of the tips from there and applied it to this song. Specifically with Cheerleader being around the 1K, if you look at EQ or like the sound frequencies, I pumped up the 1K for the Cheerleader synth line because it is, to him, associated with a scream, and so I really wanted that same effect to sort of cut through the mix in that way. So that was the song. In terms of lyrics, I don't know why it's called Static Lullaby. I just kind of like perhaps just like the naming and or like the lyric writing process felt very lullaby-esque, where I'm writing different, like, I don't know what the word is, but like very similar sort of length, very similar, it doesn't really change. And yeah, I think the main crux of this, so I'll read out the lyrics. It goes, time goes on, but I don't change. A clock with no face, wires and rain. I couldn't see until you called me, through static fields inside a dream. Is it so in hearts I don't know? And I think that in hearts I don't know is the crux of this song. It's about a robot. Dude, this is like Sad Machine by Porter Robinson, another Porter Robinson song. But it's like, imagine a robot or some like, yeah, mech or whatever, longing for something you don't really know, or feeling like you want something but you're not sure if it's in your nature. Like in this case with a robot, like things like natural elements, things like yeah, like I couldn't see who is this person. Yeah, I don't change with time. And later on you see, can I still breathe with metal lungs? My pulse is a signal, but it longs for blood. Things like that. I wish for a sky I was never built to see. I wish for a name that wasn't given to me. Like, all of these are very humanoid things, and this robot is kind of longing for that. And I sort of think this sort of longing for something, or feel like you're missing something but you don't know what it is something that I've had a couple times as well, right? Like, an example is like my journey from like then to now. What I've reflected is like, damn, like, for example, like I've always wanted to be a doctor, or at least my parents are all doctors, and so I naturally was like, that's where I want to be. But obviously that changed. I called up UBC. I was like, can you switch my priorities from science to business and all these other things? And now I'm like, I really don't know where I'm going with this, right? Like, I feel like I just kind of took a veer off, and now there's like no clear goal for me other than like creative like path. Like in my childhood, I think now I look back and I'm like, oh, I was very creative as a kid. Like I would do like plays for my parents, I would draw books, I would do all these things, I drew comic books, all these different things, and I think it was only until now that I was like, oh, that was something that I've been missing. Like for the past 5-6 years I've been longing for something like that, and I've seen fragments of it, whether it be through projects or things like that, or video editing or stuff like that, and those fragments have led me to where I am, but like I still, feel like I'm missing something, or at least like that's how I felt before. I think another example is like nowadays with like Instagram content, I've started making Instagram videos and things like that, and I realized like I love interacting with people and building community, at least digitally, but like it's something that's like kind of inaccessible for me, or I think it's like very foreign, and so it's something where it's like I feel like I'm missing that, and I don't know how to like bring it to me. Lastly, I think I really love teaching, actually. It feels like something I really love to do. When I was doing IB exams, I would teach myself stuff, and that was like how I studied, and I really enjoyed that. Like TAing also has been so fun for me. Sorry. And so I think for me it was just like, yeah, like wanting to do more things like that just like it feels like weird to me, or it's not something I would initially imagine as like part of myself, but maybe it is, and that's ultimately what the song is kind of talking about. But yeah, the other lyrics here are like, I wish for a sky I was never built to see, I wish for a name that wasn't given to me, I whisper in code but you speak in light, was I ever alive, and I wanted to write or just dreaming, right? But I didn't put or just dreaming, right? I just left it blank. Little in joke for myself, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, that is that song. Next song is Should I Stop Here? My voice is getting tired. I feel like I've talked for hours. But next song, Should I Stop Here? This is another electronic song, but a lot more dancey, a lot more upbeat. My inspirations here are very much like Jane Remover and Subi Club. I would say they make very abrasive kind of like electronic, or even like what's the word? Oh yes. They sort of do more hyper pop stuff, which is like not exactly what the song is, but I think that was kind of the inspiration. Like I was like, oh, I want like a faster paced song, and maybe it's not like hyper pop, but it's like the sort of upbeat kind of like electronic pop that I want to go for. I wrote the song in Parksville. For context, I went to Parksville in the summer for a couple days. The reason was because my sister wanted to do some figure skating course, and my parents were still working, so they're like, let's send you over by ferry to go to the island and stay there for like 2 days. And there I was like alone the whole time, right? I think that trip, and I was like, okay, well, to be productive, I'm going to write like most of my songs on this trip, and which I did. And this song is literally about that experience of being in Parksville. It's about like the fear of stepping out of your house. For me, like I get this feeling of like when rest is forced upon me in like a very intentional way, like let's say like in this example, rest was forced upon me, like I wasn't expecting to go on a trip per se, and I think the fact that I'm literally outside of where I'm comfortable, I'm outside of my laptop, I'm outside of my desktop and my house, and where I usually feel like I'm productive, it kind of just gives me like panic, or it kind of like stresses me out a little bit. And so I think this song is a little bit about that fear of stepping out of your house, and just kind of, yeah, like that sort of feeling of leaving the house and just feeling like looking at other people, being like, no, none of these other people are taking a break. Do I deserve something like that? And like, also it's just like, I feel like I should be doing more with this time that I have where I am right now. I feel like this is the perfect time that I should be doing tons of work, but I just like can't. I feel limited by my resources. I feel limited like being in a weird new environment, and it just like stresses me. It irks me a lot when I think it shouldn't be the case. Like I should be like, okay, this is my break. I've told everybody this is like my time. Like I told TCS, like I'm not doing any videos in particular, or I'm not editing. Why do I feel so stressed out about it? And that was what the song is about. Few things. I'm really proud of the second half with the guitar. The reason I think is reminiscent of Subi Club. Their first song, Burbank House, they have a part where they go from like weird sound effects, all this stuff, and they go to like a strumming guitar. And I was like, I really want this kind of second verse to just like be a guitar song, or like go into like something that's a bit more like as diversion of what is originally. And so yeah, I want to do the same thing. And I also really like that I do these sound effects like yeah, woo, yeah, woo. It reminds me of Musician by Porter Robinson, where he does these alternating sound effects in between their drum beats. I love that sort of like whistle and like whatever sound. It's like little ear candy if you listen to it, that I think is cool. I heard I sound like Morgan Wallen. I also heard that the song sounds like Star Walkin' by Lil Nas X. But I like the song. This chorus, for example, went through many changes. And this is the most recent iteration. But yeah, this was the one I was most happy with. But yeah, there's 3 other choruses that exist out there to the song. I think the song was a little bit like rushed, but I'm curious if I should A/B test like this versus other choruses. But yeah, in my opinion, this one's so dynamic. The second half is so like anime opening core. Ba, 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 ba. I love that. So yeah, that's just let's jump into the lyrics. So, I can't shake the feel away. The window gave beneath the wind. The window gave beneath the wind is just like another way of saying like pressure, like the wind is so strong that it crashes the window. And that's how I feel every time I leave my house. It gets louder when I step out my room. I just need water now. It gets louder when I step out my room. Of course, saying like as I leave my comfort zone, as I leave like where I feel I'm most productive or can be most productive, I kind of stress out. And it gets louder because I always feel like I do have that drive or that like feeling of like, oh, I should be doing work. But usually when I'm in my own house, I end up procrastinating a lot because I feel like for example with scrolling on my phone or like being on my laptop and just not doing any work or just watching YouTube videos, like it's hard. You sort of numb that. I don't know how that works, but I don't get that feeling of like stressing out of like comparison when I'm in my house. It's only when I'm outside, like I'm on campus or I'm like elsewhere, do I really feel like I'm wasting my time. I need to get on it. And that's just my kind of intuition, I guess. At last, I just need water now is just literally like the water in Vancouver is just goated. And when I drink water from other places, it just kind of sucks. So this is just another metaphor for me, just like feeling uncomfortable in new situations and just like being uncomfortable with the fact that I'm taking rest that I don't expect. Next part, they said time flies by, but I'm drowning slow. One face is numb, cause I don't deserve this time. They said time flies by, it's like literally like a lot of people tell you when you're like traveling or something, at least that's the impression I get, is like time flies by, like make the most out of it, just enjoy it, just relax, right? And I think it's like, I'm quite the opposite. Or like, I feel a lot of the times quite the opposite. And I'm drowning slow. One face is numb. When I say one face, I just mean like one half of me is still in like my chair right here, while the other half is out there, like in where I should be, right? There's always one side of me that is stuck in that spot being like, okay, but like I haven't really finished these videos. There's a lot of things like that is nagging me and I can't fully be present in where I am. Cause I don't deserve this time. And then the chorus goes, it's just I who's all to blame. Work and rest just blur the same. Lose my grip where texts delay, and I can't stop to breathe without it. I think this sort of continues the visuals and the metaphors of what I'm trying to say. It's just I who's all to blame. Work and rest like blur together, where I'm constantly like on edge. Lose my grip where text delay, like because I like, especially like in like foreign countries where I don't have like text and it's like Wi-Fi's bad and stuff. That's where I'm like, oh okay, I'm like not productive, I'm stressed out. And in Parksville there's no freaking free Wi-Fi, no good Wi-Fi around that place, bro. At least where I was. So that was stressful. And the next part, oh, I can't forget your name. Should I stop here? Should I stop here? Forget your name, that can be interpreted in a couple ways. Not gonna lie, I don't know what it means. But how I'd interpret it is like the work being your, like I can't stop, I keep thinking about it, or I can't like forget about it. Another interpretation is that your name is Ayush Kogar, who keeps calling me every single day to make sure I'm doing work properly, but yeah, I don't know. That's a little bit of a lyric you can interpret. As we go down, I think it just continues on with this sort of same visuals and sort of what I'm trying to get at. Told me you focused up when it came summertime. I keep overthinking now when I see my friends gone. It's harder now to see when we got lost. I feel so stupid to wish I was back there. Yeah, like summertime, people are locking in, things like that, and yeah, I have this weird I have this weird feeling when I don't see someone for a long time. I think they're freaking more productive than me, and I gotta focus up. That's just how it is, I guess. And yeah, maybe that's just like the Instagram freaking mentality where you see everybody like being their best self, doing crazy things, and then you see yourself like freaking doing nothing. And so I feel that way a lot of the times when I see my friends gone. And I think another thing, I feel so stupid to wish I was back there, is just like, yeah, similarly like in Parksville, I should feel good. I should be like, this is a good time to rest, but I feel so out of my element that it's like very uncomfortable. Yeah, and then it goes back. But it's only mad love, do you know it's stuck? I can't relax until I know I'm far enough. And that's just like, yeah, I can't relax until I feel like I'm at a place where I deserve this rest. And I don't know when that is, right? But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And the last chorus, I kind of went over it already. But yeah, I love this song. I think it's nice, it's upbeat, it's awesome. I love it. Next song is Test of Courage. This is the end of the electronic section and moves into our final character, which is a pop sync character. This song is a Geometry Dash song. I use different Geometry Dash sound effects. And the reason why I liked Geometry Dash, this was actually a last minute decision, but I really like Geometry Dash. Like, its music is very EDM vibey, and I was like, okay, I've covered like I need a song that's, I have a song that's very atmospheric, I have a song that's very poppy and like groovy. I want a song that sounds like a freaking pinwheel or a machine. I don't know why. I just wanted it, and Geometry Dash songs just give me that vibe. There's a song as well called Breeze. I will play a bit of it. And that song was like a big inspiration where I was like, oh yes, this is the pinwheel, this is the gears moving that I want to hear. Like a long piano riff line, a bit of crunchiness in it, that I was like, and it repeats a lot and it's complex, and I was like, I want a complex, like, layered song, which is how this came up. But yeah, I'm kind of scared. Breeze is a really nice song, so yeah, I'm kind of scared that you'll like my inspirations more than you like my own music, but yeah, that's why I made it distorted and crunchy. There's a little piano riff that was improvised, but most of it was, based around that singular motif that I did spend time on. And the last section is what really makes the transition to the next section. It's from this very mechanical, precise EDM kind of sound into going to this weird, chill piano line that I made and saying, "I'm not a robot, you have to believe me." And I think it's a callback to, the Static Lullaby song, where I'm portraying myself or how I feel as like a robot, which I don't think I'm a robot. I'm very not. And I think this last section of, if that first one is my past self, and the second one I think is like very experimental, or almost like reflecting like my transition into like all this weird world of university and this weird world of like all these different like things, and it's just a very unique environment, new environment to be in. This next pop section to me is like, I'm human, like I am I have my own desires, I have my own wants, I am a human person, I have a lot of emotions and blah 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 blah, and like it's more complex than these kind of blocks. But yeah, I think that callback to the Static Lullaby, like I'm not a robot, you have to believe me, is where it transitions to the next section where I'm like, yeah, I don't think I am a robot, if that makes sense. But that's my signature, that I'm coming in with a smooth piano line that isn't exactly lined up to the same rhythm. It's a weird abrupt cut, but I think that's where it transitions into the next song, which is How Far We've Grown. It's a song with my girlfriend Jenny, and I think it's mostly about like getting more busy with life, and I think both of us we're doing a lot. She's definitely doing a lot. I'm doing stuff, I guess, but just like it's hard, right? Like especially for me, I think I'm very to blame. Like I am not good at maintaining relationships, which is kind of tough. But I think just getting more busy, and the song kind of reflecting that, we recognize that we're both going down very different paths. Like I work at freaking 5 to 9, I work at night, things just are different. And for her, it's she's busy doing her own thing. She's being the freaking goat, and I'm somewhat busy too. And so it's just, saying we are going down separate paths in terms of lifestyle, in terms of career choice, in terms of all those things, but we will find time to meet in the middle. We'll find time to sort of be together, I guess, and cherish those moments, because we've already noticed it's harder and harder to see each other sometimes because of that. And so I think this song also was a very heavy exercise for me, at least, on lyrics. I wrote most of the lyrics. Jenny helped with the second verse, which she soloed, and mogged me on, by the way. But yeah, it was an exercise to be very specific, where a lot of other songs are pop songs, where they're oh, this is the moment where we broke up, this is the moment that we fell in love. For me, most of the songs that I make, I default to things that are internal, because I don't really have those kind of pivotal moments. At least this time, I didn't really have that many pivotal moments to be this is you did this on this day at this freaking hour while the freaking sun was still shining and the stars were glowing. I don't know. I don't really have that. And so this song was I really want to get specific with these examples, not only because I think it'll be a cool sort of thing to look back on. I was oh, okay, yeah, these things did happen, but I just think I really wanted lyrics that were very descriptive and sort of I think that would give the soul that it needs to be a banger. Yeah, and I also am pretty proud of the harmony line at the end. But as you can tell, I don't know how to write harmonies, so I was just freaking going off vibes. But yeah, let's go through my lyrics. This one's a hefty one. First off, remember when we worked as friends in Edmonton snow? If you don't know, we met through regionals, Enactus competitions, which happened in Edmonton. It was snowing, it was cold, and I think at that time, this relates to the next line, I'll read that as well. I knew it then, like I know now, that I just want to live without the noise, and I would find my place into your arms again. Yeah, so at regionals, Jenny and I were competing partners, or we were like, yeah, partners in the same like competition. And at that time, like we hadn't told anybody about like that we were in a relationship. And I think this paragraph, this like section is sort of detailing that in a sense. It's like yeah, like at least for me, bro, that comp's house is freaking rowdy as hell. I really don't like busy places, and especially living situations that are so busy and just like whatever. And I think added to the fact that like we were like laying low, we were working as friends, as said in the lyrics. It was just hard, and I was just like, bruh. I wanted to live without the noise and find place. Yeah, without all the extra added stuff, and so I just wanted to write that. I really wanted to reference Enactus competitions in some way, and so this is what I wanted to write. That like yeah, and then I love you more than I ever can. We'll savor the moments written in sand. I think it's just about memories like being eroding or fading or being very like they don't last. Not to say memories don't last. I have tons and tons of memories, but I think like the time together does sort of go away after a little bit, and you really have to cherish that time that that we get to see each other. And I love this next part. I love you more than I ever can. I just know it's not over yet, and I see trains that come and go. While we pass, I hold you close. Never have I felt left alone, 'cause time will tell how far we've grown. I love this train analogy. Jenny was the one who actually like made this analogy, not me. And so you can ask her about everything, like what this means, because my interpretation of it is like, as I said, we're on different tracks, we're on different train routes, we're on different we're on different routes, we're going different places, but at the end we always go back to like, the trains always come back to like their main station where all the trains are, or like we always come to the same station while like the trains pass. We'll like be together. That's like our moments to stay together. And I think related to that, like with trains, I'm just thinking of like the Shinkansen and how you like sort of look out the window and see a ton of different scenery. And I really think that is the case with this analogy. Like we are going down different directions, we're going down different paths, but you sort of look out the window, you sort of take in the scenery, and then you share it, you know, as you come to you come back to the stations, if that makes sense. While we pass, like when we intersect, those few moments that we do intersect is like, that's when we share, that's when we bond together, that's when we cherish those moments. And yeah, that's also, I think, it relates to the next section. Like, never have I felt left alone, because time will tell how far we've grown. And that to me references like being able to tackle the world. Like I don't feel alone when I'm like going off into my own direction, because I know that at the end of the day I'll like come back, if that makes sense. How I interpret love, this is so weird, but I assume we're like knee deep in the recording, so nobody will hear this. But I think one way that I interpret love is that it's like coming home. I think the feeling of love versus limerence, I read this on Reddit, but so you don't have to trust me. But I think there is a difference between like limerence, which is the feeling of wanting to like you honor someone or you like admire someone, and so you sort of like want to you feel insecure, you feel like you want to impress them, you want to rizz them up, and all these things. While I think real love is a feeling of like coming back, of like being comfortable and being not insecure about like how you are or how you stand and all these things like that. And I'd like to think that that is the core meaning or the core resolution of this problem, right? Like I am okay with, or I'm fine, like it happens that like we go in different directions, and that's totally chill. But when we come back, when we come home, and we reflect on like ourselves and we reflect how much we've grown. That is, I think, the resolution to the problem that I'm proposing with the song, I guess. The conflict that is being resolved. And so, yeah, that all is to say that is the song is about the feeling of coming home, going on wild adventures, but being able to be comfortable in those adventures because you always have someone who's there with you, someone who always has your back, and someone who's always there to help you recharge. That's how I want to feel, and that's how I want her to feel. Yeah, so I didn't write the last parts here, so you can ask Danny about the second verse, and I think the rest is very easy to understand, like the bridge is very clear. But just to let you know, for Gabe A, Gabe M, Emily, and Megan, the second part, the start of the second verse, is about skiing. We traveled in cold and we talked in the chateau, and I felt that time had stopped, etc., etc. So, yeah. Once again, talking about specific moments, that was the exercise of the freaking song, and I think it turned out well. I enjoy it, and I love that harmony line at the end. I think it turned out well, and I think it has a lot of meaning for me, and I think it is a very pivotal song. If we're talking about X as a reflection of the self, it was a very key moment in how I'm feeling as a 20-year-old, I guess. But yeah. The final big song is I See Strokes. This last song is based around a conversation I had with my mentor, Justin Kung. And it's about the feeling. I don't think I've talked about this at all in this album, but it's this kind of feeling of smelling yourself in your work. What I mean by that is, like, whenever I make a video, whenever I like make music even, I'm always comparing myself to other sort of other artists, other creators. And when I make something, I can never get there. Obviously, right? Like, I'm not that good, but I think the fact that even like people who are less experienced than me, for example, I still think their work is better than mine to some extent. Even if it's like the worst video ever produced, I'll be like, something about that authentic vibe is just something that I can't capture myself, or I can't imitate. And that's something that's really been irking me, because I think for the longest time I was like, oh, this is easy, I could make anything. I remember being so cocky about video, being like, oh, I can make anything. I just look at something, I'm like, oh yeah, like I could do this easy with what knowledge I have. And now it's like the opposite, where I'm like, I can't make anything. And this is like the song about that. It's a conversation I have with Justin about like, I smell myself in this, and it's just like annoying me that like, instead of seeing the big picture, instead of seeing all this, I see strokes on a canvas. That is what the song is about. And I heard like The Creative Act is a really good book. I love that book, and it says that like it introduced me to that idea of smelling myself in my own work as like a positive thing, that like it is your own style, and for the record, like your style is like you. It's not something that is like you're looking at someone else for your style. That is affectation. But when you're like doing, like when you're making something, there is some sort of force or some sort of life inside that your work that is you. And so I think that's something to channel, but at least for me at the current state, it's just something that really annoys me, where like I'm just like, I just hate what I do. I hate what I create, and it becomes a really like deprecating kind of state to be in. Not good. I was originally gonna give this song to someone else. Like, I like the beat. I think it's very like catchy. So I was like, oh, I'll just give it to like Ben Yen or something. But I think this being the last song on the album, and also me like not having talked about this point before yet in the album, was like, no, I'm gonna make this for myself, or I'm going to write it for myself. And yeah, if you were one of those people who are like, yo, I said Gert, why didn't you answer, talk to me? Which is everybody, I'm sorry. Like, I think it just ended up being like, this became a very personal exercise for me and a personal reflection. And I was just like I want it to be more personal. So that's just, yeah, my bad. And so if I asked you to do I didn't ask anybody to do collab, but if you were like, I want to collab, blah, 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 I'm sorry that I wasn't really like helpful in that way, or like I didn't like reciprocate. My bad. Similar compression issues happened in the song. Like, I pumped the end really loud, so the beginning is extremely quiet. Consider it a bait, like that you have to turn up your volume and then you get like blasted. That's the hope. But yeah. I'm also not sure if anybody noticed, but in this song, it is a parallel to Never Saved in My Phone. The final chorus is like the same vibe, like da, 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 da. Sorry, my battery died. As I was saying, I'm not sure if anybody else noticed, but the final chorus also is parallel to the first song, Never Saved in My Phone. The chorus is very similar. It goes da 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 da. Yeah. Da 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 da. And then the song Icy Strokes goes da 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 da. And then da 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 da, or something like that. So for me, the reason why I did this is not only is this a little nostalgic comeback, but I think I really wanted to hammer home that idea that like this pop section is not just like me, or like it's not just like one other just like bucket, right? That is like a different style. Like, I really wanted to be like, at least in this last song, to be like, as a person, I'm a lot more complex than like, oh, my old self, my new self, like all this conflict between the two past selves. I am like also my own self, if that makes sense. And because of that, I throw in a bunch of different aspects from both sides, both the genres into this last song. There is the sort of like futuristic sounding, like pew, 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 and all these different things, like different beats and sounds from that futuristic part that I threw in, like what's it called? Should I Stop Here? And also I use a Palkia sound effect, Palkia roar, right before I go into the big chorus. It goes like ah, and that is a reference to Jane Remover, one of their songs from their newest album, Revenge Seekers, and I basically stole that Revenge Seekers like motif of using the Pokemon sound effect to throw in mine, all to reference back to the electronic section. And then obviously I'm using the guitar tones and things like that from the rock section as well as the Never Saved in My Phone chorus, just to kind of show that like I'm not constrained to this just like pop vibe. I'm not constrained to just another section this really is like I'm more than the sum of these parts. Like I can be all of these things at once. It's not mutually exclusive. And in the same way, when we're talking about like me, like in the past, I cling on to these like old Ghana collective, like my first year self, this angsty sort of like vibe, and then this nowadays like futuristic thing. I can merge them all together in like some way. And so, yeah, let's go into the lyrics. Yeah, I think this references a lot of what I said about the like the smelling yourself in your work and just kind of like feeling like incompetent. I always hear that voice alone. Look at strokes that would you home. And yeah, when I say I see strokes, I mean strokes on a canvas. That's the visual representation of what I'm trying to say. That I am so focused on all the granular details that I look at the granular details and I'm like, oh, this looks like shit, this looks like shit, this looks like shit. And I look at someone else's work and I see a storyline. Like I don't look at their like grain, like their pixels, or I don't look at their color contrast. I think one of the best pieces of advice I was ever given is like, people will not, what's the word? Oh, okay, this is the worst piece of it. People won't like miss things that aren't there. And I think sometimes you have to get out of that mindset. Like sometimes I'm deleting things and I'm like, oh, but this would be so good, all these things. But it's like, that's a key principle I found with editing. It's like people will not miss it because they've never seen it. So it really like doesn't, like a lot of these things that you're taking out that you want to keep in, it doesn't really matter if you took them out. And so sometimes I just like, I took a bunch of things out and I'm like, oh, it feels empty, it feels blah, 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 blah. But for someone experiencing it for the first time, who hasn't had that experience, that number of hours looking at the work, like I have, they probably see it better, or they probably see it similarly than how I do to like other people's work, right? And so I think that's just been a conflict I've been thinking of that voice of being like, look at like the details, those matter, but it ultimately just leads to like dissatisfaction with your own work. Next part also, you tell me that I'm losing my spark, but is it my fault frustration gets hard? This is also referencing video, more specifically TCS. Holy, I love TCS. I love the work that I'm doing, but dang, does it make me feel like I am like freaking bad at what I do. Because like at least with clubs, I remember it was just like I grinded it out one night and all is well. People loved what they saw and it was just kind of like easy. With TCS and having to sort of constantly scrutinize, what is the core thesis? What is the most important thing about this video? How do we elevate the storytelling here and here and here? A lot of these things that you're doing are distracting, blah, 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 blah. I think it's like, it makes the act of like just making for the sake of making impossible. And yeah, it's frustrating, and I think it makes it harder and harder for me to like just make videos and be excited about any video willy-nilly. Yeah, and I feel like that makes me feel like I'm losing my spark in some sense, right? Like before in first year, it was so easy to just make videos, just like, just make whatever, go by vibes. And then now it's like, there's so much thought that has to be put before the video and after the video, and there's so many feedback loops that I feel like I'm churning out videos at such a slow pace. That's why I actually love Instagram videos, like personal videos, but yeah, we shall see. But as I said, I love it. I love doing the work. I think I'm getting way better at what I do, and I'm learning at such an exponential pace. But dang, I feel like it's frustrating. It's very frustrating at times. Next section, hide the smell of myself and all that I own. It works for them, but shortcuts all I know. And I think this is just like the core of it, right? Like, hide the smell of myself. I'm trying to like mask that. And I think another reason why I think my work smells the way I do is because I use a lot of different shortcuts. I have like certain presets, I have certain things. I know how I made that effect. Some people see it, most people, when they see my work, they'll see it as like one-dimensional, right? Like it is what it is in front of me. But like when I see how ugly I did the thing, it makes me, it irks me. It makes me feel like there must be an elegant way to do it. And so there's that as well. Trying all night to get where I want. I wish all day to see past the flaws. I'm meant to be you, tell me it's alright. You noticed I lost my own fight. And I used to make just by how I felt. You tell me it's how you sell yourself. Yeah, as I said, like, I think there's a big internal battle between trying to be someone else, like looking at other people's Instagram work, trying to replicate it and just being like, it's not there. And even with this album, this was one of the last songs of the album, and it is literally my frustration of making this album, because it was like, it's hard to make something like this. Especially with all these amazing inspirations you have in front of you. You listen to your thing after like a day and you're like, it just sounds bad. Like it just sounds, I know why it sounds like that, because my guitar sounds like that. I know why, because my voice sounds like ass. Like it just all these different things, right? Or like, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do this. Like the recording quality I use a karaoke mic, like, and for the freaking first two songs, oh my gosh, I need to show you guys. I used a freaking USB mic. A USB mic for the first, Never Say to My Phone and Unshoulder. I used literally a terrible freaking mic, which is why the vocals sound freaking cooked. And yeah, and so I just like, because I was also like constantly doing new songs and like just going and improving at each song, it was just like, it's so hard. And it doesn't help that I'm listening to amazing quality music, some of the best music ever in the world, world-changing music, and I'm just like, I can't get there. I think that's very like ego, that's very Icarus flying to the sun kind of vibes, but I think that's just how I feel whenever I'm making something, especially something like this where I want to express myself in the best way possible, and I'm willing to take the time to do that. So yeah, that's how I feel. And the last part, I used to make just by how I felt. You tell me it's how you sell yourself. I love that. It's like shifting the goalpost from creation, from like an internal joy to an external validation. That's what I felt with video. I treat video as like a job now, or a craft. And so there's a video, for example, or like there's I remember recording Hope, which is like a trip I went with my friends earlier this summer, and just like not being able to edit it, because it literally feels like work now. And so yeah, similar thing Justin has said to me, but it's like, yeah, it's like, it's tough when you shift your why you make something to like external validation, or like what is the target audience of your work. It just makes it like hard. It makes like how you make stuff way different, and your attitude towards creating just a lot harder. And so I think with this reflection, I don't really know. I don't know what goes on, but yeah, that's just kind of, I'm just gonna leave that there. I'm just gonna linger like that. And the chorus just reflects that. I see strokes, don't question me. I can't get far, you see. I cheat to get by. Am I just tracing lines? And I love this tracing lines motif because it like, or not motif, just this line about tracing lines, because it reminds you of like when I was making art. I would just draw like, because I like drawing, right? But there was a point where I started tracing my drawings. Like I remember in late elementary school, I was like, wait, I need to show off to my friends. I need to show off to my classmates that I'm a freaking artsy person. So I'm going to freaking put a piece of paper next to a window and trace it, right? And I think that is the epitome of what I'm trying to say, of like, I shifted the goalpost from like, I love drawing, I just like to make stuff and draw on a piece of paper, no matter how it turns out, to just being like, no, it has to be great. It has to stand to one of the greats, and it has to impress people. And that's kind of where it is with this album as well. Like that internal battle of like, oh, I just love creating, but I also want it to be amazing. And I think once I was like, oh, I want it to be amazing, 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 it just made it so much harder to do. Made me so much more dissatisfied. It just made me like hate some songs, right? Until there's a point where I was just like, nah, I'm literally walking in every single day and just tweaking things. And then I go to sleep, I wake up and tweak them back to like where they were before. Like it feels like that. Because it's like at the end of the day, there's just some things that I just haven't figured out yet. Like things like some audio quality things I just like at this point, like some things you just have to let go where you are in the current moment, and you have to just be like, yeah, I'm not trying to be someone else. I can't like do all that, at least not with this album. But at a certain point, I do hope to get like decent. Well, this started from an internal joy of writing and creating, and I just want to go back to that. It's a loaded topic with a very short song, but I think it worked well that way. Last song, Leap of Faith. Not much to say. I'm sad that it freaking didn't transition cleanly. I don't know how to transition things cleanly. So this could have been 9 songs and I just had one of those slashes, but instead, I did not, and there is a gap between my transition, which I'm a little sad about. But I think the only other thing to note is that "Who are you?" line, and I think it calls back to the original ask. I'm your host. We'll skip the name for now. It's like a little. I think it ties back. Like I'm talking about what is your name, and what is your name? Who are you? And don't forget it. I think that kind of ties it back to, like, I'm not my past self, which is the Ikigan rock. I'm not like this freaking Porter Robinson clone, which is my future self, which is this electronic side. And I am new, and like that pop side, which I was for a very split second, I don't think I'm that either. I am a kind of I'm everything, and I'm not like a chameleon that just goes from one to another, or like something like that. It's like just, I am who I am. That is a very like whack conclusion, but I think that's just how it like is, and I think that opens a lot of questions for me. I think most specifically, it like makes me feel like, okay, where do I go next? If I drop another album, what style am I doing? And as I was recording this, like right now, like yapping all of it out, I guess I just have to find a way to blend all of what I've learned today, or all of what I've learned in this album, to my future work. And it's frightening, but I think that's how I'm planning to move forward with. I think that's a cool way to sort of end it. It's a cool way to sort of be like, okay, well, I've seen in my 20s now, I've reached a point where like there's like distinct sort of things that I like. There's sort of distinct, I can recognize and observe like the sort of countless different attitudes that I have towards different things, and I seem to, if I wanted to, I could construct different ways or how I react to different character traits or personalities that I could be. But at the end of the day, I'm like all of them, some weird way. And I urge you to like move out of those kind of things too. I think often like with this, I was like, okay, now it's a rock song. Boom, now it's a EDM song. Now it's a pop song. And already those genres didn't really mix 100%. And I think that's the same for whoever you're trying to be. Like, at least for me, like going to like social events, going to like being myself, like where I am like on freaking Discord with my friends, or like how I am in social events versus how I am at my work and clients and all these different things. I feel like I'm playing different roles. But I think I think the next goal that I need to achieve is being able to coalesce all of these different things and find a personality that matches and tries to be harmonious with all of these different situations I'm in. At least that's how I think right now. But yeah, if you ended up getting to the end of this, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me talk and yap, and I'm 100% sure I didn't make any sense for 90% of this video, but I do appreciate that you care about like where I'm at right now, how I think, and the future of this and everything. So yeah, thanks for watching. And now go on and be productive. What are you doing?